Talk about investment charges on products. Now remember the endowment policy, which I just talked about, had what I call old charges. Now the old charges, which you might come across in the exam, were pretty ferocious things. Old charges in products used to have policy fees. Now we're talking here about how these products are paid for. In other words, who pays for the people that run these things? Old policies used to have policy fees, particularly if they were a monthly direct debit type arrangement. Of course, endowment policies were monthly. The policy fee would range from £1.50, £2, £2, £3 a month, just taken out of the policy, just to pay for admin and stuff like that, really. You don't tend to see so much of that anymore, unless it's a regular premium policy. Now, of course, if it was unit linked, you used to have a bid offer spread. It's still around now, of course, but being replaced with OEICs now. The bid offer spread, if it was a unit linked endowment, would have a roughly a 5% difference between the offer price and the bid price. When you bought units, you bought them at the offer price, and when you sold them back to the investment company, you sold them at the bid price, bid to get rid. So there was always a 5% difference. So there was a nice little charge they used to get every time people bought units and sold units. They took a little bit of a charge there along the way. But the worst one was called nil allocation. Here we go. Nil allocation was a way of paying commission, really. And what happened is, if it was a unit linked policy and you paid your premium, say £100 a month, then you would buy units, allocated units, and units would build up, wouldn't they? But what would happen in the first couple of years is they'd have nil allocation of units. In other words, you didn't buy any units. You had nothing, because that used to go to pay for the commission, which was eye-wateringly high. Sometimes you had a low allocation, but invariably it was nil for a couple of years, which is why the surrender value of these things was very low in the first few years. Now, a lot of that's gone now, but we still have investments, of course, in unit trusts, OEICs, investment trusts, all done in platforms now, aren't they? We're talking here about regular premium or lump sum investments. So let's just talk about the charges now that are appropriate. By the way, all of these charges are illustrated in the KID. There you go. Now that's not a Pretender's track from the 70s or was it 80s. That stands for Key Investor Information. So the Key Investor, there you go, info doc. IFAs give these out when they help people to give people advice on investments. Mortgage brokers don't get involved in KIDs. We have KFIs, just another acronym for you. So, of course, all the information is given there on the KID, as you can appreciate. So, what have we got? Well, first of all, we have the IFA fee. Now, IFAs, of course, don't earn commission anymore. They charge fees to customers. So some IFAs will just charge a hourly or daily fee or a lump sum fee or a retainer fee, which they charge to clients. If they don't charge a fee, they will often have a fund management charge. So fund management charge typically around about the 5%. What that means is they get their fee, but they get it from the lump sum the customer's invested. That's pretty much happens. So if the customer invests £100,000, they'll just take 5% of that. And that's their initial fee for giving the advice, which, is fair enough, I suppose, when you look at it like that. Now, we do still have bid offer spreads on old unit trusts, but unit trusts are pretty much gone now. And unit linked bonds have pretty much gone now as well. Most of it's done in OEICs or investment trusts or ETFs. That's the modern world for you. But the bid offer spread, you see, used to pay for dealing fees, buying, selling shares under the scene. But now that's replaced pretty much by what they call a dealing charge, which is a charge, or they call it a dilution duty. It's a lovely phrase, isn't it? OEICs call them dilution duties, where they pretty much, everyone who buys and sells, not everybody buys and sells, you see. Some of you just leave it there. So they dilute the cost amongst all the people that do the dealings and those people that don't. So it's just a fee they charge for the dealing costs, really, which is fine. Then you have the fund management charge. Again, we got that one there. Now the fund management charge is the charge that's given to the people who run it. Now we're talking here mostly about active funds versus passive. Active, of course, is where a fund manager, team of people, they try to outperform indexes by picking good stocks and making good decisions. It's incredibly complex work, and they use computers a lot for that as well. But there's people behind the scenes. Because they are people actively managing the fund, they make a charge for it. It can be anything from 1% plus or less than that, of course. But I'm talking about active funds, not passive ones. Passive ones coming to in a second. So that's taken annually. So quite a lot of charges coming through so far on that one. The one that's under the microscope at the moment with Consumer Duty and charges, etc., is the ongoing advice fee. Here we go. The ongoing advice fee. A little bit contentious. The whole point behind this, and it can be up to sort of 0.25% of the value of your fund. I mean, all these percents add up, don't get me wrong. And what happens that for? That's taken annually, usually monthly deducted, and it pays for the financial advisor's ongoing advice. She looks after the client's needs, she does regular fact findings, she changes circumstances, etc. And she charges for that, which is why IFAs sell their books, their funds under management to these aggregator companies. They're worth a fortune because they just cream money. They just make money all the time. So that's the ongoing advice fee. Last one for you, which is worth just sneaking in there, is called the platform fee. Now, the platform itself in which you invest this, it could be Hargreaves Lansdown, Vanguard. There's loads of different platforms now. They're computer dashboards where all the investments are held there. There might be a little fee from the platform. It could be a fixed fee. It could be a tiny percentage as well, which comes through. What's going on? Well, as you can appreciate, a lot of people are going more to the passive investments. I mean, I have one with Vanguard, and I think my charge is 0.15% in total. I'll write that down for you. I didn't get any advice. I didn't really want any. So there's no fund management charge. I would say, initial charge for the IFA. There's no IFA fee. There's a fund management charge, but it's a passive fund I use with Vanguard, and obviously it's done by computers. They're just following indexes. That's all they're doing, which is great. So I think I'm charged about 0.15 or 0.2% in total, rather than all these fees that go on. So when you have something that's more passive, there you go, let's put that in there for you, it's a lots lower cost when it comes to it, which is interesting, isn't it? So that's charges, really. What will happen, I think, in the future? I think these will start to become more competitive as AI and computers and algorithms take over the investing. They do already with passive investments, all done by computers anyway. But the active stuff now, we're getting AI now that can start to outperform some humans in making decisions, not just following an index. So I think these fees will start to come down. IFA fees are under the microscope at the moment. I've already seen a couple of the big firms reducing their fund management charges and things, and their platform fees are starting to come down. Whether they'll start reducing the IFA fees, the personal fees, I don't know. That comes down to how protective the industry is. So there's no union membership going on, so we'll see how that pans out in the future. But at least we haven't got these horrible things anymore. They were really nasty, and they were covered by endowment policies who used to pay huge amounts of commission to the salespeople. An update for you on charges. Hope that's been useful.